Hey, everybody, Mark Herman, a.k.a. LA Bengals fan on most of the major platforms. And we have a full house today. Everybody's here. I said rested up from the bye week, but this is the week 8 Jungle Talk preview. Yeah, hooday. So here we are. So we've got super fans Heath Goldman and Riley Goldman. We've got super fans Devin Circus and Jake Circus. And Jake Circus has podcast. Jake, tell them where they can find all your stuff.
Jake Circus podcast, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Spotify and YouTube. Mark, we lost our pick last week. We finally lost one.
We did lose our pick, and I have to say,
5 weeks.
I have to say, I actually watched the game while I was.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And it was one. I want that 3 hours of my life back. That was one of the most frustrating games I've ever witnessed. And then the officiating was all of a sudden there's the phantom motion on the fumble return. I say, oh, okay, here we go. And no. So
we're 6-3 now on the show. And the Arkansas fired their offensive coordinator, by the way. I don't know if you saw that. They fired him immediately after the game.
Wait, your pick last week was that dreadful Arkansas, Mississippi
Arkansas.
Game?
Yeah, it was Arkansas -6, and they scored 3 points at home off a bye.
Yeah. I am at their homecoming. And Jake called it. He said, "Oh, you're going to tease it even, aren't you?" And I said, "That's exactly what I did." And I just kind of watched in disbelief on just the worst football I've ever seen, the worst officiating. I mean, there wasn't anything positive I can say about that game. But
all right, enough about Arkansas, Mark. They're not even going to make a bowl game. They're irrelevant.
No. So before I forget, if you don't subscribe, please subscribe. It's all we ask. Support the channel. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you know when our videos go up, and please hit the thumbs up. It helps us out with the YouTube analytics. So that's all we ask. All right, well, here we go.
What's that, Mark? Riley's got it. Let Riley tell everybody where he's.
Oh yeah, Riley, tell them where they can find all your stuff.
I'm on Twitter at sportsball with 3 L's at the end, just posting general sports news that I find and ideas I have throughout the week.
There you go. So all right, well, let's get right into this. We're doing the show early this week. The Niners played on Monday, so we don't have any injury reports from there. But there's actually a lot of news that was announced today. So why don't you go ahead, Jake, or somebody, talk about some of the injuries we've got going on in San Francisco? Because ours is pretty straightforward. So
it's Sam Darnold week. It doesn't like with thank goodness we didn't record this earlier. We were like gonna almost record earlier, and I was just gonna defend Brock Purdy for like 45 minutes or however long the show lasted. Now he's not even going to play. It's like, say whatever you want about Brock Purdy, but the guy's like, he's really good. And if he doesn't play, that's just an immediate advantage for the Bengals. So
yeah. No,
it is ironic. It is ironic that Purdy's out and Sam Darnold's going to play. It's Halloween week. We're black and orange, and our defense, which is why I wore the Hendrickson jersey today, is going to make Sam Darnold see ghosts again.
Yeah,
no,
it's so we have no Debo.
I knew I was going to get that in, Jake.
Oh God.
So we have no Debo Samuel. McCaffrey looked fine. So I don't on Monday night. I didn't appear to be any issues. But no Debo Samuel. Now no Brock Purdy. Trent Williams, we don't know. He didn't practice. I mean, it's not unusual for him not to practice because they played Monday. But Trent Williams is out. That team. If we had talked about this game, and we did talk about it 3 weeks ago, as this being probably one of the toughest games on the schedule, and man, that didn't age well. I mean, look at where we are. All of a sudden, they've lost 2 games. They look more than human. This game has changed a lot. I mean, this was, like I said, one of those games I just checked it off that we would not win this game. And now I'm coming off a bye, them on a short week, Darnold making his first start, Debo Samuel out. I mean, This is a new deal. So, guys, give me your thoughts on this.
Yeah, what you just said is exactly one point that I noted down that I wanted to talk about is think about where we were 3 weeks ago, where the Bengals were 3 weeks ago, and where the Niners were 3 weeks ago. We're coming off a horrid loss to Tennessee, looking at 2 must-win games and a bye. And all the talk on San Francisco was, is anybody going to beat them, or are they going to go 20-0? And here we are, and Jake's more. You guys are more into the lines than me. This is a line that's going to go down. It's inside of a touchdown. It could get even closer to 4 or 5. And we're coming off a rest, looking good. Everybody's getting healthy. We won the 2 games we needed to do. Look, San Francisco, no quarterback, no number 1 receiver, potentially no number 1 left tackle. It's key on McCaffrey and don't let anybody beat you deep. And I think our defense is capable of doing that.
Yeah, well, we got to see better run defense than we saw the first part of the season. I think I mentioned in one of the previous shows that when we won our I think it was week 5, Zach said, "Hey, we're 1-0 in the second quarter of the season. We're now 2-0. We just got to stack wins here." But this game, it's so funny because after San Francisco dismantled Dallas, I mean, everybody was already crowning the Niners as the number 1 seed in the NFC. And 2 weeks later, Troy Aikman once said, humility is 1 week away. And I don't know if that's something Jimmy Johnson said to him or where he got it. And it's a variation. I think it goes all the way back to John Wooden. But, there we were. And then a week later, you lose to Cleveland. The next week, you put up a clunker on Monday night against Kirk Cousins, who can't play in the prime time, but they make him look like Dan Marino. Yeah. And like I said, it's humility is a week away.
I'll make one comment a week early. We talked about it. I listened to the show last week when you were talking about predictions. That team up north in the AFC doesn't look as daunting as they did a couple weeks ago either. Buffalo's coming off 2 tough weeks. So we got, we had talked about coming out of this bye, playing 2 tough teams. And, we got a chance of winning both of them, I think, now.
Yeah.
Buffalo sucks. All right. Like, the Bengals will be favored in that game next week, regardless of win or lose. Buffalo sucks.
We'll be favored.
I'll talk about this more next week, but Buffalo's awful. They
do play tomorrow night. They do play tomorrow night, so they will have the extra rest.
They might lose to Tampa. They might lose tomorrow night. I would not be surprised at all if they lose tomorrow night.
So, it's like I said, it's humility is a week away. That's why you don't get too excited about a win, because the next week's a whole new storyline. So,
yeah. But the new storyline better be a vaunted offense from the Bengals. I mean, they've had 2 weeks to try to figure this thing out, Callahan and Zach, and they've got to. I hope something.
Well, T. Higgins is supposedly much better than he was health-wise. Zach defended him at his presser. I think it was yesterday morning. It might have been this morning, but basically said, the guy hasn't been 100%, gave him props for trying to play hurt, and saying, hey, even in the Seattle game, he drew attention away so Chase could have his moment. So, he's done his part. So, but yeah, this, like we said, the bye week came at a great time. Burrow looked as mobile as he's ever looked this season in the last game. We've got 2 weeks of rest now. We need to come out. We need to score early and often on this team. We need to get Darnold is not going to bring a team back from a big hole. He's just not that kind of quarterback, especially having this be his first start. So if there was ever a week where the Bengals needed to start quickly on the road, this would be that week.
Well,
yes.
I will
go ahead, Riley.
I will say, though, we're talking about their injuries to their offense. This is still one of the best defenses, at least positional player-wise, in the NFL. One of the best pass rushers in Nick Bosa, probably the best linebacker in Fred Warner. Their safeties cover the entire field.
Yeah.
And the rest of their D-line still gets the QB. They have 11 picks on the season and have only given up 7 touchdowns passing, and we're a passing offense. You have 7 touchdowns given up through I don't think they've had their bye week, so 7 games.
Yeah.
And we're in a passing offense. That scares me, especially with a Shanahan coach offense. He made Brock Purdy, whether Brock Purdy is actually as good as he is, he was still the last pick in the draft, and he went 8-0 before he got hurt. So it still scares me, even with Sam Darnold in there.
Yeah, well, I actually agree with you, because this is also a Niner team. Think about that touchdown right before half on Monday night. I mean, it looks like Ward is going to intercept the ball, and instead he loses the ball. I mean, that changed that whole game. But this is a defense that's going to come in with a chip on its shoulder. It really is, and they didn't play poorly in their 2 losses. I mean, in against Cleveland, what did they give up? 20 points. I mean, they had a chance to tie the game.
Less.
less, and they had a
Feels like
chance to
19.
tie the game. You know, their kicker has not had a good season. This rookie kicker of theirs, but this is a
Moody.
defense that's going to want to come out and make a statement. They realize that they've lost 2 in a row.
You know what's really
Wanna try
funny
to win
about you making a comment about their kicker? You know where their kicker went to school?
Where's the
Michigan.
kicker?
You know where our punter went to school?
Michigan.
Both of them were supposed to be exceptional draft picks, and they both
All right, hold up.
struggled.
Hold
Dude.
the phone on Moody. It's
And get off of our punter. He's been fine, and he's been above average the last 3 weeks.
The
Like,
last
Oh,
relax,
no.
Dax Hill.
2 of the
Relax,
3
Dax
weeks.
Hill.
2 of the 3 weeks.
all right. What Riley said about the Niners defense is extremely
Spot on.
accurate. Like normally, but what's so interesting about the Niners defense is, first of all, I like doing these shows every week because sometimes we get fans from the other teams who come in our comments. So like I like to give it like other teams props, and what the Niners have done the last 5 years with their defense. There's normally when you have really good defenses, it's only because of like a great DC. Then he leaves to be a head coach. Well, the Niners DC for 3 years was Robert Saleh. They were one of the best units in the league. He went to go coach the Jets. D'Amico Ryans came in and they were the same defense. Probably even got a little bit better because I think with Ryans for 2 years, they were like the best defense in the league and probably not even close. D'Amico Ryans goes to coach Houston and Steve Wilkes comes in after being here at Missouri. We were one of the worst defenses in Power 5. And then 2 years later, interim coach for Carolina gets fired there, doesn't get the job, and now he's with San Fran, and they're flourishing yet again. So these players are fantastic. They go multiple levels on the defense. It's still very good. They're healthy there, as Riley said. A little bit of a scare for Warner on Monday night, but I think he's fine.
Yeah, he came back in the game.
He came back. He came back. So they dodged a bullet there, but they're pretty healthy. Ward is fantastic, although he was awful on Monday. But yeah, it's a really good unit. And back to Darnold. Darnold actually like wasn't bad with Carolina last year. Like he averaged 8.6 yards per attempt in 6 games, which if that was in 2023, he'd be 4th in the league in yards per attempt right now. So he was pretty solid with Carolina with almost nothing to work with. They were a good rushing team, and that's it the last couple of weeks of the year. So maybe Kyle Shanahan will turn him into Cam Newton. I don't know.
Well, how much did Darnold get? Do we have film on Darnold in this offense? I know it would be preseason, but how much film do we have to look at? Or is this one of those where
it's going to be, I mean, it's going to be Sam Darnold. Like he's not going to throw the ball down the field with great accuracy, and great timing, like what Brock Purdy does. Because what Purdy does so well is the broadcasters drool over it every time he's in a primetime game, whether it's Aikman, whether it's Collinsworth, whether it's Herb Street. Like they drool over his footwork. They drool over his anticipation. Darnold's not going to do that. He's going to run the ball a little bit more. He's going to look underneath to McCaffrey. Expect a big McCaffrey game, especially with Debo out. But this Niners offensive line outside of Trent Williams is really, really bad. And it has not been talked about since McGlinchey left. The right tackle from the last 4 or 5 years went to Denver. That has been a revolving door all year. Their inside is not great, strictly in terms of pass protection. They have not been able to really handle blitzes, to handle 4-man pressure at all. They've been really bad.
Right. So, any indication whether Williams plays or not? What do you think?
I think he's going to go. I think he's going to go.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. So
the only saving grace is if he is continued to be banged up, if he's not progressing the way he should, their bye is the following week, and maybe we get lucky and they want to sit him out 1 more week to give him 2 more weeks of rest.
Right. No, I actually didn't think about that, but that's actually a great point. It's probably why Samuel has already been ruled out. From what I've said is, you get, he's a key. That this offense is a lot different when he's in it. So just like Chase is in our offense. So he's a big component. All right. So when you want to say anything about, the Bengals are coming off their bye. It's kind of like, we feel good. We didn't really blow anybody out, but we've been making progress. I always say progress, not perfection. For those of us who have raised kids, you better live with that mantra because it's never going to be perfect.
I am wondering one thing, and I'd love to hear Devin and all of your comments. Joe looked almost perfect last time. If you hadn't known that he was coming off weeks and weeks of a calf, you wouldn't have ever gathered that. But the offense just isn't doing much at all. What do you guys see? And I don't watch a game like every play and start to analyze. I just watched as a fan. So what do you guys see it?
So the first half again, I'm gonna jump in. The first half against Seattle, we were electric. We looked as good as we looked last year, as good as the team has ever looked. Look, Seattle's a good team. Second half, they made adjustments, and we won the first half significantly, and we tied the second half. That's going to win you. I don't remember what the halftime score was, maybe 14-10, if I'm not mistaken. And we tied them in the second half. That's how you win games. Their defense did a good job. Our defense actually did a better job.
Yeah, for sure.
Holding a team to 3 points and 5 red zone trips is
exactly.
Oh yeah, no,
it will never happen again.
Weird weeks because that was across the league. I mean, you had New Orleans that was in the red zone like 3 or 4 times in the second half, didn't score at all. I mean, and lost their game by 1 score. It was just one of those weeks where teams just faltered in the red zone. And fortunately, we were one of those teams that that held those 3.
It's been that way all year. The league-wide red zone touchdown percentage is down like 6% compared to
everybody
previous
goes
years.
for it all the time instead of kicking field goals. Let me ask you this question. The stat called red zone touchdown percentage. Do you get rewarded for kicking a field goal instead of turning it over on downs? But your percentage goes down if you fail. It doesn't go down if you kick.
No, it doesn't. Did you score a touchdown on the drive?
Yeah, he's saying touchdown.
Yes or no?
So it doesn't change when you kick field goal.
My bad. My bad.
No, but
you and Zach Taylor would get along really well because neither of you want to be aggressive at all, and it's probably why the Bengals
Brandon Staley should start dating.
And it's probably why the Bengals are struggling because their coach is scared.
Well, that's the point I was going to bring up is I think a lot of it's the play calling. I haven't liked a lot of the play calling because we put ourselves. I want to get into second and shorts. We put ourselves in the wrong down and distance, and then we wind up. I hate running on second and long because you just set up the third and long. We've got to. So I put a lot of the second half against Seattle. I put on play calling.
I think this year it's been a little bit different because like 2 years ago, we all wanted them to pass like every play, right? And they were running the ball on first and second down, and it was so annoying. The Bengals this year have actually been the 3rd highest first down passing team in the league, but they're not finding a lot of success, and they're even worse on third down. The Bengals have never, and this kind of goes hand in hand with Heath's question. The Bengals have never been a schematically perfect team. Like Zach Taylor and Brian Callahan never have had the perfect scheme, but Joe Burrow's made it work. Now that he's been hurt and he still is not 100%, we'll see how he looks after the bye, but you can even tell in the Seattle game, he still didn't look quite himself, especially in that second half on drives that weren't scripted. So we're seeing it with Burrow where the extending plays and especially the deep balls it has not been there, even in the wins. I mean, other than the deep play to Chase, he's been one of the worst deep ball quarterbacks in the league. We're going back to 2020 again. For Christ's sake. So it's been a mix of that, and all of it is relying on Joe Burrow playing hero ball. It's what I hate most about the offense. It's why the Bills are struggling because Josh Allen has to play hero ball, but they don't have the weapons that we have.
Right, exactly.
So the guys need to step up. The offensive line is giving them time. This should equate the best Bengals offense that we've seen in the Joe Burrow era, but the injury held them back. The T injury held them back. So when it all starts to click, like they're going to go on a run, it's going to happen eventually. It's just when and who it's going to come against. If it comes this week.
I got a question on that. And sorry guys, because I want to follow up on that. Something that we've talked about a little, but not a ton. Obviously, Burrow's been hurt. Higgins has been hurt. We know that. That's obvious. The last 2 years, and we've joked about it before, that Joe Burrow made C.J. Uzomah and Hayden Hurst a lot of money.
I was just about to ask the same question.
Irv Smith has been absolutely terrible. How much of what's going on in the offense do we attribute to not having that outlet, that big man over the middle, as an outlet that Uzomah and Hurst were? Because, again, those guys are never going to make a Pro Bowl. They'll never be world beaters. But they were really effective for us the last 2 years.
Especially a lot of third down conversions. We converted a lot of third downs.
That's what I was.
Yeah,
I was just about to say, and I just think that Uzomah and Hurst were better players. I mean, I think the Bengals severely downgraded at tight end. They went younger, like they're going to do with a lot of positions in the next couple of years. They tried on a guy that had good traits coming out of Alabama. He was very young, and he's just not as good as Hayden Hurst. Hayden Hurst was awesome. I mean, he was great. He was exactly what they needed. And Irv Smith, like it's not a schematic thing with Irv Smith. Like they're not going to draw plays to get Irv Smith open. That would be criminal. But the reason why Hurst was always doing so well is because of the attention that was being drawn to all the other guys. And I think a big problem has been, where's Tyler Boyd? I mean, he's probably is one of his, if not one of his last 2 years with the Bengals. They might even cut him after this year, after drafting 2 rookies this past year. Where has he been? He's been a big part the last 2-3 years, and even before Joe Burrow, Tyler Boyd was the man. And
there's a young guy there. I read something the other day on the practice squad that has got some reps, obviously in the preseason, but later in the preseason.
You're talking about the tight end?
Yeah.
Tanner Hudson. He played 2 games when Smith was. I'm absolutely obsessed with him.
Is he the Cincinnati guy? Was he UC?
No, I thought Trent Irwin was joke on him. The read on him is he's a preseason All-Pro. The last 3 years, he's been on 3 different teams and has had phenomenal stats in the preseason. And he played 2 games. I remember we did one week, and Riley was like, "Where the hell did Tanner Hudson come from? He looked great." I love the guy.
Yeah. Southern Arkansas, by the way. I don't know. I don't know where I got Cincinnati from.
Yeah, I don't know either.
He's got the long hair like Trent Irwin a little bit. I think Trent Irwin's from local.
Yeah.
Irwin's good. Irwin's like legit good.
Yeah.
By the way.
What are the also contributing to all this, that the defensive coordinators around the league have caught up and they're taking away the long ball from us?
Well, we definitely started to see that last year.
I mean,
this is league wide. Like this league scoring is down, red zone stuff is down. These defenses are getting really, really smart. I mean, you look at a guy like Mike McDonald for Baltimore. Like Wink Martindale did some weird shit with them for almost a decade, and that defense was always at the top of the league. And they bring in Mike McDonald, who I think is the best assistant coach in the league right now. And if he's not a head coach, that it's a shame. I mean, it would be awful for us because we want him out. I'd get him out of that division. But what he's doing with Baltimore right now is fantastic. The Bills really miss Leslie. Back to the Bills again. They really miss Leslie Frazier. We'll talk about that next week because he took a step aside this year. He was their DC the last 5 years, since they drafted Allen. Just defensive-minded guys across the league are drafting really smart players that are really good for their schemes, and they're taking away a lot of what teams like to do. And some teams are forced to go heavier and run the ball and keep games low scoring. I mean, unders are doing fantastic this year. Primetime unders, by the way, are like 19-4 this year.
But if that's the case, Jake, and I'm not questioning you, if that's the case, Tyler Boyd has to be, you would think he'd be living across the middle.
Yeah. Look, the offense is always going to run through Jamar, right? Like there's nothing that there's nothing that any DC can do to completely shut down Jamar. Like we see star receivers have bad games every now and then, but like Jamar's the offense. So it has to go through Jamar, and it's not a coincidence that our 2 biggest wins were when Jamar had a combined 24 catches. Like that's what needs to happen, especially with T, not getting full reps and not being fully healthy. But when everything starts to come together, they went on that run last year. They were scoring a lot of points. They're running the ball pretty well, playing great defense. It's gonna come back. Like it's gonna happen eventually. But yeah, like league wide defense is really taking over. And these teams that are in like a shit spot with their either head coach or quarterback, because like a couple of years ago it was all about offense, hire these offensive young guys. I think these teams are going to go more towards like the DeMeco Ryans and the Dan Campbell's offensive guy, but like the Mike McDonald's and Robert Salas, that type of stuff.
Dan Campbell may be an offensive guy, but
he feels like a defensive guy. Though. Like
he's a defensive mindset for an offensive guy. Yeah. I mean, it's
although that defense did look too good last week.
No. Well,
no, they can't cover. They can't cover. Like that's not new. They can't cover.
Remember, humility is a week away. Right. So that's why I don't crown anybody. All right. Well, and there's so much. This is one of those, I feel like the lady in front of the courthouse, holding the scales blindfolded. I mean, this is one of those games you could sit there and go, we've been terrible at stopping the run. So McCaffrey should have a good week, but they don't really have the threat of the pass as much with Darnold. So, and without Samuel. So it's just, you just see those scales just going. So this is one of those games that I almost feel like this is a coin flip game. This is going to come down to a couple key penalties or a couple key turnovers. And the
Where was the line? Where was the
penalties.
line before? Where was the line before they announced Purdy going out?
It was five and a. It
Yeah,
opened at 5.5, and
Yeah.
it's at 4 right now. It's
Yeah.
at 4 right
All
now.
the way down to 4. Wow.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I
and
talked to someone earlier today. They had a 2.2 point difference between Purdy and Darnold.
okay.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot.
Well, and don't think the penalties aren't going to be. We had the NFL behind the scenes. They admit this stuff to owners and coaches. They admitted that they blew the Indy Cleveland game. They
Oh my
blew it
God,
on the fumble recovery,
Oh.
and then they gift wrapped the win with a ball that was literally, you would have had to be in the
Front
front
row.
row of the stands to catch that pass. It was so uncatchable. It was unbelievable. And the league actually, Irsay, usually the owners don't do this, but Jim Irsay said the league admitted
Irsay doesn't give a fuck.
Exactly.
No, he doesn't. And
Irsay
I like that
doesn't
about
give
him.
a fuck.
Doesn't care at
I
all.
like that about him. But he said, yeah, league admitted to me today that they screwed up on both plays. So don't think the game can't swing on the officials. Hopefully we get better officiating this week, because it was
that's
bad in a lot
It's
of
been
games.
bad across the board,
a
though.
perfect segue, Mark. Jake and I already discussed it. Did you see?
No, I did not discuss this. You discussed this.
Oh,
You were
we
talking to
texted.
yourself about it.
Okay, but you responded. You said
You,
yeah.
you were supposed to be
listened.
Jake.
You said
You were
yeah.
supposed to be listening. You just
Yeah.
weren't.
You
If
said
you
yes.
listened, you were part of the conversation. That's
The-
my definition.
The head official of
Yeah.
the head referee, whatever the title is, of our game this Sunday is none other than the clown who did the AFC Championship game in Kansas City.
Well,
A game that the Bengals deserve to lose, by the way. Like, I know I'll be the bad guy and say that, but the game that the Bengals deserve to lose. So.
but we were in it at the end and could have won it. So
If the Chiefs can win a game, can win a Super Bowl with Carl Cheffers as official, then we can win a game with anybody as an official.
right.
It doesn't mean anything.
Riley, did you get the package? You have you were shaking your head about the Cleveland game. You have the package, the YouTube package?
No, but I still watch the game.
No, well,
Okay.
but like I said, I really feel like this has turned into, which is a good thing, because I really was gonna thought there was no way we're gonna win this game, and I really think this is a coin flip game. I think this isn't a puncher's chance. We have the same chance San Francisco has. I think this game is even.
Yeah.
So I mean, if we're
that's because you're going to tease it,
underdog,
right, Jake? Right,
3
Jake?
points for home
Because he's
field.
going to tease it.
Oh, just wait till we get to my picks this week. This
So
week
all right.
on the show.
So we want to do predictions. Do we want Jake's game of the week? What do we want to do next? This is a flexible format here. We just just flow with it. So
Take Jake's picks, then you guys can give
all
your
right, then we'll
predictions.
do our predictions. Jake, give us your game of the week, please.
All right.
I need something. I need a Florida over Tennessee again, not a Arkansas.
All right. I've got 2 sides, and I'm giving out an underdog money line parlay.
Okay.
I love this week. This is one of my favorite. By the way, one of the worst slates of the week, but in terms of gambling, great. All right. What are my 2 sides? The local boy in the bottom left, Devin Circus. We're starting in Tempe. We're taking the Devils plus 6.5.
I like
This has been the unluckiest team in college football in terms of turnover luck and injuries. You saw what happened against Washington at home as a 4-touchdown dog. I had them in that game. They're getting their players on defense back. I like what Kenny Dillingham's doing in his first year. They got some turnover luck against Washington, almost beat them. They are facing a team in Washington State that when they go on the road are not even close to the team that they are at home. Getting a full touchdown plus 6.5. Then going about 2 hours east to Tucson east. We're taking the Cats, baby. Plus 3.5 against Oregon State. Same thing. Pac-12 home dogs this year have absolutely killed. This freshman quarterback for Arizona, he's going to play, right? Like He's a stud.
He's a sophomore, but
So,
yeah,
whatever. So redshirt. He's a redshirt freshman, by the way.
So we got Arizona,
No,
Arizona
he
State.
got in
Okay.
last year.
He's fun. I have Arizona plus 3.5 against Oregon State. I think Oregon State's a little bit looking ahead to their gauntlet, and they end with Washington and Oregon back-to-back weeks, their last 2 weeks. Right, this is a sleepy spot in a Pac-12 after dark game. So give me the Cats and the Devils
Okay.
plus 3.5, plus 6.5, and then our
And
money line dog.
Hang on, I will be in attendance at the U of A Oregon State game this Saturday night.
All right,
Wow.
and then we are going to put the Cats in. This is a 1.4 unit play, by the way, for me, for the Cats. And I never bet more than a unit on any college game. So sorry, I might jinx your team, Dad. But this is a dong spot, as I like to say. So money line dog parlay, Cats plus 140. And then we're taking Kentucky plus 150 against Tennessee at home in the SEC. So parlay those two, take Arizona State separately, take Arizona separately. Mark, you can do your teaser, whatever. I don't care. All three of those
money
teams,
lines too.
all three of those teams cover. I'm not guaranteeing an Arizona State win, but Arizona, Kentucky both win as dogs at home on Saturday.
Yeah. And you can add 7 points to Arizona, to ASU. So there you go. I'm telling you. So, hey, if that fumble recovery in Arkansas had held up, that was enough to win with the teaser.
That's right. You would have won and I would have lost. You would have won and I would have lost.
Yeah,
you would have had it. You would have been a one up for eternity on me if that happened. Because I've been making fun of you for teasers all year, and you would have won one and I would have lost.
But I love money lines. I love teasers. My theory is you have to manipulate the lines because they're very good at them. They really are. And we have perfect examples coming up with the NBA because I can't tell you how many over-unders in the second half I've won or lost on a half a point. They're so good at forecasting the points. They really are.
Wait, so you're telling me your UT's NBA totals?
No, I'm saying second half NBA bets. I've won and lost so many within a half point. It just shows you how good their analysts are, that they can have an over 104.5 and it's either 104 or 105 or 105. You're literally winning and losing by a half point. They are that good at it. That's why I like money lines and teasers. You got to manipulate the playing field. So, all right, who wants to go first on their prediction? Jake, you took a lot of heat in the comments. People were like, who is this downer dude? We want fans. And I respect the fact that that your prediction was we wouldn't make the playoffs, in the second half, bold prediction. So, but there was
this division's really good. And but what did I say? 9-8 out of the playoffs.
You said we would miss that. Your bold prediction was we missed the
9-8's not getting in the playoffs this year.
No, it's not.
That was a bold prediction.
I agree. I agree.
I think that they're gonna go on a run, but if they don't, this is how the league works. Teams with star quarterbacks have down years all the time. I get we made the Super Bowl in 21 and almost got back last year. That does not mean that we're getting back this year. That's not how this league works. And when you play in that division and they still have 4 of those games left, it's hard, man. And with the first place schedule. But look, I do think we're going to win the next 2 games. So that's a little spoiler. I think this matchup for San Fran is fantastic. It's even better without Brock Purdy, because I think the league's kind of figured out Brock Purdy to an extent.
Yeah.
What Minnesota and the Cleveland were doing, it was very similar to what we started doing with Mahomes. They were starting to drop back 3 the whole game, keep their 4th pass rusher, their 2nd best pass rusher in a spy. And have him watch Purdy, and they took away everything deep, and Purdy really struggled. So I don't know if they're going to do that with Darnold, but they would have done that with Purdy and that's why I would have loved that matchup, because we did it with Mahomes all the time and succeed in doing so. But it is Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's not going to win that game by himself, but the Bengals have to score. I think they will. 24-23 Bengals.
Okay. I'm going to piggyback off yours. I really initially 2 weeks ago, you asked me, I've got us losing this game, winning Buffalo. I kind of feel the same way. I think this is kind of set up with where Buffalo is right now, where San Francisco is. We're catching both of these teams at exactly the right time, because I think towards the end of the season, both Buffalo and San Francisco are going to be a lot better than they are right now.
Buffalo will be like 5-9
They
in
get Von
December.
Miller back. They've really fallen off since Milano, and we'll get into this next week since they lost Milano. But
Milano and company.
Yeah.
Milano and company.
But I really think that I've just got this a little more low scoring. I've got this 2018 us winning. I think this is going to be a classic defensive, ugly game. I still think we're going to have to have the key sack at the end to not let the San Francisco get into, field goal position. I think this is just going to look like a typical AFC North game. So I'm going, 2018. That's what I'm doing. All right, who's next?
I'll jump in because I've got a very similar read. One other thing that was worth mentioning that none of us mentioned at all was the Bengals were on bye, getting their rest, licking their chops, but we got no breaks from any of our division counterparts, with all three playing potentially losable games and all three winning, and two of them winning with some officiating help.
Yeah.
But anyways, you got to play the schedule you're dealt, as does everybody else. And I mentioned it last week. I think we in the parallel of 2023 with 2022, I think we start the run this week after the bye. And I too have a potential scoregami. I don't know. I'm going to guess no, but I'm going to go with 22-19. Bengals.
Not a scoregami.
I wouldn't think so, but it's an ugly score of a game.
It is. No, and we're all kind of in the same mindset, So, all right, which one of the Goldmans wants to jump in?
Riley.
I mean, my dad doesn't usually make a pick, so I'll take it for this one. I'm right in the same boat with everyone. Relatively low scoring, a couple touchdowns apiece, right around everyone. I have 2017 Bengals. I think we do win this game with the injuries to the Niners offense. I was very worried especially before Purdy went down, but 2017 Bengals.
Yeah, it just blows me away. I'm sitting there in Sky Harbor Airport. We've just won in Arizona. I'm sitting there at, eating, having, shots of tequila and getting ready for my flight and watching the Niner Dallas game, which was just a massacre, and just thinking, oh my gosh, this team looks unbeatable. And here we are just a few weeks later, and they've lost 2 in a row, and they look more than mortal. So it blows me away where my mind was 3 weeks ago and where we are now. So
week to week league.
Week to week.
Absolutely.
So, but
I forget Heath doesn't make picks. We should probably start calling him Kirk Herbstreit, because he's got to hop on the jet and fly to cover the game, because Herbstreit doesn't make picks when he's calling the game too.
Yeah.
Kirk, no pick from you. You're calling the game.
So Heath, are we going to get a pick from you or no?
Herbstreit?
No.
Yeah, I can't break the trend.
No, that's true.
I told you, as you know, I don't analyze games the way you guys do. That's why I love listening to you guys, because you're so analytical. Riley's got that analytical mind too. I don't watch
computer's dying. I'll be back
anymore. I just don't watch sports like that anymore. When I was younger, I absolutely did, but I don't watch it anymore. So for me to try to go picking scores, I'm just going to pulling something out of my rear end, and it's just not worth it.
No.
Look, I'm not smart enough to watch the game like you're giving me credit for. It's more Jake and Riley. A lot of the stuff I just enjoy reading and listening to. I take the dogs for a walk every morning, and I listen to a couple different Bengals podcasts and read a bunch of stuff that I choose what to believe. But yeah, no, look, the game is different, and listening to Jake and Riley, it's very cool seeing the young generation, and they'll tell you the young generation's taking over the league with great coaches like Brandon Staley, etc. And yeah, that's the wave.
Yeah. So,
love you.
By the way, so this guy from PFF who I always forget his name. Used to be an intern, now he's like full time for them. He did a chart. He ran some code and he did a chart on the coaches that have made the most efficient 4th down decisions. So one was Nick Sirianni.
Oh, yeah.
Brandon Staley.
That doesn't even count because of the play.
Because of the tush push. I agree. Yeah, no.
Zach Taylor was just 4th down decisions, just 4th down. Zach Taylor was at 30, and reigning bozo of the week on the Jake Circus podcast, Brandon Staley, was number 3.
So
Really?
are you saying the number of the correct times they went for it, or successful conversion?
He created a formula that mixes the right or wrong decision and how successful or unsuccessful you were in that on the play.
Okay.
So Staley was 3, Zach Taylor was 30, Sirianni is 1. Bill Belichick, by the way, 32.
Oh,
Right.
wait, Zach Taylor was ranked 30th? I thought
Yeah.
you said he had 30.
I would have
good
figured
decisions.
Staley would have been at the back end because
It basically measures aggressiveness and success with
Effectiveness.
said aggressiveness, which the Chargers have been very good on 4th down this year, but they're coached like nobody wants to play for the moron that wears the headset every week.
right. So, well, if the Manos family wasn't like Mike Brown used to be, they would let Staley go, but he refuses to fire a coach and pay him to not work. So, which is why
Future Chargers coach Lincoln Riley, next USC coach Urban Meyer.
Oh,
Okay.
God.
Well, and where's Harbaugh landing once he leaves Michigan? Which he
Well,
Hold on a second.
hopefully he finally wins it all so he can leave and go back to being a loser in the NFL.
right. So no,
You may not get through the season.
Yeah,
There's nothing wrong with looking at hand signals and play calls. Nothing's
Hey.
going to come of this.
We just need to get more information about it. Like, I don't really have an opinion about it yet because there was a clip that there was like clearly something was going on from the Ohio
game
State
clip?
Michigan, but like the clip that they showed, Ohio State scored on that play.
Correct.
So I don't know.
yeah.
Like, I'm
saw
not a
that
Mich-
clip. It's very you clearly see Ohio State goes to the line, they back off, they all look to the coordinator on the side, they get the play, and as they get the play, you see the guy, I forgot his name, whispering in Harbaugh's ear, and all of a sudden everybody starts pointing up, which means it's a pass, and signaling immediately. Like, to Jake's point, it was definitely something going on, but Ohio State still scored on the play. And I don't think
we need to get
looking at hand signals.
we need to get a John Boy
Breakdown.
reaction to this.
Good call.
All right. Well, Jake, remind them where they can find all your stuff.
Yeah, Jake Circus podcast Monday, Wednesday, Friday. No BR show this week, but check out their TikTok and socials. I'll have my college football card. Wildcats, Arizona State, sides, and then I guess, my God, the Wildcat parlay, Kentucky, Arizona. I forgot.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
yeah,
right.
the Wildcat moneyline dog parlay, Kentucky against Tennessee, Arizona against Oregon State.
And
Very
Riley,
nice.
remind everybody where they can find you.
On Twitter at sportsball with 3 L's at the end, just posting general content when I have time.
There you go. Yeah, you support these guys. They're both students. So, please subscribe. If you don't subscribe, it's all we ask. Hit the analytics, hit the thumbs up to help us out with the analytics. We will be back right after the end of the game with a recap. Hopefully we went into San Francisco and won, and we'll go from there. I'm going to say hoot everybody and have a great
Hooray.
rest of your week.
Okay.